Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today we're going to talk about the new Tech Tree Tier 6 American battleship North Carolina, which I was lucky enough to pull out of a crate. We will go over my mod selection, take a look at my commander build, examine some key features of the armor scheme, and then jump into some gameplay, talk about the ship stats, how it plays, and go over some aspects of that particular game. I'll say right off the bat that I really like this ship, and I think it's an excellent Tier 6 battleship. So keep that in mind as we move forward. The mods, well, I've got the AA mod in the first slot, and the propulsion mod in the second slot, although I might change it to steering gears. And then, of course, RGA in the third. This battleship doesn't have access to the concealment mod. I wish it did, along with all battleships with the third mod slot. Note that I have it fully upgraded, but at the time I played the game you're about to see, I did not have the engine mod installed, so you won't see it going as fast as it could. William Sims is my commander. I've got A.L. Scharnhorst and Cunningham as inspirations. If I didn't have A.L. Scharnhorst, I might put Von Essen or Jojo on there instead. And now onto the armor viewer. You'll note that the North Carolina has a 25mm bow and stern. Pretty much like all the Tier 6 battleships, it can be overmatched by 15 or 16-inch guns, so there is no bow tanking against 15 or 16-inch guns in this ship. Armor belt is 32mm with 305mm at the waterline protecting the citadel, so that can bounce 15 and 16-inch guns when angled properly. And I think the deck armor is 37mm, which is pretty nice. It'll shatter some HE if the HE actually hits there, and it should prevent 15 or 16-inch shells from penetrating it if they strike it at an angle. The citadel is kind of exposed. It sits a little bit above the waterline or just right at it. You don't want to be giving broadside in this thing. You will be punished easily. So maintaining proper angling is a must, as with all other battleships. And now on to the gameplay. We're going to be on Greece. It's a domination mode game, and I should say before we really get started talking about the stats that I took out the North Carolina 7 times the other day in order to get this video, and all 7 times I lost, including this time. And those losses were really not due to poor performance on my part. I would tell you if poor performance on my part resulted in a loss within a series of games, because I don't mind criticizing myself. Instead, all of these losses were due mostly to unusually abominable play on the part of the blue team, and I'm pretty sure my team is going to play pretty abominably in this game as well. But maybe we can talk about that a little later. Let's run down the stats now. The North Carolina has 58,000 hit points at base, which puts it between the Gneisenau and the Colorado in terms of hit points, with the latter having a little bit more HP and the former having a little bit less. So this actually has a couple less hit points at base than the Colorado, but with Sims, I've got the hit points up to 59,920, which is pretty good for a Tier 6 battleship. Not so good for a Tier 6 battleship is the torpedo damage reduction at 19%. That's pretty poor torpedo damage protection, or reduction, whatever you want to call it, for the tier. The Colorado, by contrast, has 37%. But that's the only stat where I really think the Colorado actually has a little bit better of a case to be made for it than this ship. The North Carolina has 9 406mm guns. Those are 16-inch guns. They have a base range of 16.4 kilometers. Now, the Colorado reaches out 100 meters further at base, but it does have 8 guns. And, of course, with Sims on this boat, I have the range extended to 18 kilometers, and I think also the Epic Booster of Battle Propensity flag extends the range a little bit further. So it might be a little bit less than that without this flag on, and I do think I have it on in this game. Take a look at that hit on the Boise, though. Pretty hard. These guns have the best AP Alpha Strike at the tier. 13,100 at base. The next highest in comparison is the Sinop at 12,950. But with William Sims and gyrating drill bits influencing this commander build, these guns are hitting for a maximum of 14,410, which is incredible. These guns are excellent. The HE Alpha Strike is a little bit less impressive at 5,700 with a 36% fire chance, and that's actually the exact same as you'll find on the Colorado. Reload time is 32 seconds, which actually makes it tied for the second longest reload time of any battleship at the tier with the Nagato. The Colorado, in contrast, reloads its guns in 30 seconds, so you do have a 2-second advantage on the reload time with the Colorado, but you do have one less gun. And then the turret traverse time, 45 seconds at base, which is pretty common for the tier, but I've got that cut down to a much nicer 32.7 seconds with my commander build. Now the AA stats on this ship seem to be pretty good. It's got an overall rating of 99 with that anti-aircraft mod installed in the first slot, and it seems to have pretty excellent high average DPS for all of the short, medium, and long-range anti-aircraft guns. It's a pretty good AA battleship, in other words, which is nice for when carriers choose to drop you. Of course, there are no carriers in this particular game. Now, the maneuverability characteristics on the ship, 27.8 knot top speed, which is pretty good speed for the tier, much faster than the Colorado's 21 knots, and of course, I've got that cut down a little bit with Sims commander build and gyrating drill bits, which cuts down the speed by 10%. Of course, as I said when I played this game, I did not have the engine mod installed, so I was only doing about 21 or 22 knots at top speed, I think. 760 meter turning circle, which is pretty good for the tier, although the Colorado's turning circle is much tighter, but again, the Colorado's speed is much slower. And then the rudder shift is actually 17.3 seconds, which I think might be the worst rudder shift time at the tier, which is why I'm considering changing out the propulsion mod for the steering gears mod, just to make the rudder shift a little bit more responsive. Although at 17.3 seconds, it's not completely unmanageable. It's fine. And then the concealment. This is one of the less conspicuous battleships at the tier, 13.8 kilometer detectability by sea. A lot of other battleships are much more conspicuous. And then 11.5 kilometer detectability by air. So what do I think of this ship? I think it's excellent. I think these guns are fantastic. And overall, they are quite accurate. Now, they might not be as accurate as, say, the Tier 7 Iowa, and I have no idea what the Tier 7 Kansas, the new Tier 7 Tech Tree American battleship, is going to be like. But these guns, they're pretty good. Also, I do want to say I don't think it makes a lot of sense that the Colorado is, or rather the North Carolina is placed in the new American battleship line. I think it would have made a lot more sense if this ship was actually the original Tier 6 American battleship and the Colorado was the Tier 6 battleship in this new line. And why is that? Well, it's because the new line is full of all of these standard dreadnought type American battleships, you know, the Nevada at Tier 4 and the Tennessee at Tier 5. They're all slow, lumbering giants with that all-or-nothing armor scheme, and so is the Colorado. And then, of course, the Kansas at Tier 7 sort of looks like if the Americans decided, you know what, this dreadnought-style battleship is, in fact, the way to go. So let's take the Colorado, give it more guns, make it thicker and bigger, then you get the Kansas. Whereas the Iowa is a much more natural successor to the North Carolina class of battleships. What is this Florida doing in front of us, by the way? Looks like he is turning broadside, and this is not something you want to do right in front of the North Carolina because it will absolutely punish you with its super heavy American armor piercing. I think it also enjoys the improved penetration angles of the American armor piercing, and we did hit that guy for 18,000 damage. Unfortunately, our team is not playing super well. We control 0 caps, and the enemy team controls 3. We did have an opportunity to take the alpha cap, but our destroyer has, for some reason, decided to completely bypass that cap, despite the fact that nobody is in it, and he'd be able to take it all by himself very easily. Instead, he's elected to go out there and try to, I guess, torpedo battleships, which when I was playing this game kind of made me lose my mind, and I don't want to dwell on it too much, but you'll note that the enemy team has a points lead on us. We are even on ship counts, and at this point I've pulled away too far. I've been getting shot at quite a bit, actually, and I don't know if that's because this is a new ship or because I'm wearing the, what I like to call the Kill Me Please community contributor camo. I feel like some people see this camo and they're like, we gotta sink that ship, because that's a camo that not a lot of people have. Anyway, we're turning back in now. The fact that we don't have the engine mod is going to hurt us a little bit in this game. If I did have that mod, I might have actually been able to pull this one off. I mean, maybe not, but we'll see. In any case, the Colorado is pulling out from behind that island broadside. We're going to launch a salvo at him, but of course he is going to start turning away, which I did not think he was going to do. So I think we are going to miss here. As far as how does the North Carolina play, I would liken it quite a bit to the Iowa. Although with the 25mm bow, you of course can't be bow tanking anything with 15 or 16-inch guns. You have to angle your side at them and try to get them to shoot your belt armor at an angle in order to ricochet their shots and mitigate any damage that they might do to you, because 15 or 16-inch guns will simply go right through the bow or the stern. Other than that, it's a lot like the Iowa. Same sort of turret setup, same number of guns, nice long range, nice accuracy at close ranges and long ranges. Basically, like I said, it would make more sense if this was the predecessor to the Iowa than the Colorado, because if you're going to grind through a line, then this is going to give you a better idea of what the Iowa is going to play like than the Colorado would. It's just a great overall ship. I would say it is definitely my favorite Tier 6 American battleship. I like it a lot better than the Colorado, and if I had to choose between the two of them, I would absolutely take this ship out instead. Now, though, as far as the game goes, we get a nasty hit on that Suzuya over there. It's just unfortunate we don't take him out, but we do get a Citadel. We also get the high caliber medal, and we're up to 136,000 damage. Boise out there, 11 kilometers away from us. One of the downsides of the American battleships, and this ship in particular, is that it does get hurt quite a bit by cruiser HE. The Boise's 152mm guns are, of course, capable of penetrating the 25mm on the bow and the stern without the benefit of EOP. And with EOP, they, of course, can penetrate that armor, but they can also penetrate the 32mm side armor. Now, they can't penetrate the 37mm deck, although that deck space is quite limited because the superstructure is, pretty big, and the cruiser HE is going to eat into that quite easily. So HE, you can melt under it fairly quickly, and there's always fires, which are unpleasant. Unfortunate there that we missed the shot on the Suzuya, who is going to escape from us for the rest of the game. We're going to see if we can't take out the Boise here. The things are winding down right now. It's now 3 versus 3 with that Boise, Suzuya, and the enemy destroyer left. You can see the enemy destroyer out there spotted. I think he's having a duel with our destroyer, who earlier failed to take that alpha cap for no reason whatsoever. And unfortunately for us, the enemy destroyer wins his duel against our destroyer, and that pretty much seals the game right there. Now, I finally made it into the Bravo cap. I will be the only member of my team to actually take an objective by the end of this game, which will be nice for my XP count, but it's really not going to do anything to help us win at this point. In order to do that, we're going to have to sink all these ships, and the Boise decides to at least give us a consolation prize, I guess. We're able to take him out, and that is our only kill of the game, but we have done a lot of damage throughout the course of this game, 151,000 damage, which is quite a respectable total for this Tier 6 battleship. It's just unfortunate that the Suzuya and the Fletcher on the enemy team both know what's good for them, and they are not going to show themselves for the rest of this game, which is going to mean that we are unfortunately going to lose. And again, this was very frustrating. This is where I stopped playing in this session, because this was the 7th loss in a row in this ship. Not because the ship is bad, of course, just because my team was not performing super well. In any case, I really like the North Carolina. I think it is quite a strong tech tree battleships, and I would probably rate it at this point as one of the stronger battleships at the tier. It's really quite good, and if you are not a huge fan of the American sort of dreadnought style battleships with their slow lumbering pace, then I think you'll like this ship quite a bit more. I am not especially a fan of the lower tier American battleships for that reason. I do like the fact that they can turn pretty well, but the slow speed just doesn't cut it for me. However, their guns are excellent. That is a characteristic that all of the American battleships kind of share, and the North Carolina is no exception. These are phenomenal guns at Tier 6, and this is a pretty good ship. I don't really recommend you buy all of the early access crates since they cost cash. Keep in mind that this ship will be free in the next update, so you can grind to it. If you did get, say, the Tennessee in a crate, then go ahead and grind that ship. It is pretty good. Maybe I will cover it, I'm not sure, but it's a nice ship to play, and it's not going to be a very painful grind for you. But if you like the American battleships, you're definitely going to want to grind up this line and get the North Carolina, because, as I said, it is pretty good. Solid battleship at Tier 6, probably one of the better ones. Fantastic guns, and a little bit better armored than its tech tree counterpart, the Colorado, which is certainly a nice thing. Now this game is going to end as the Suzuya trolls us by lighting 2 fires, but we do get another medal as a consolation prize to go with our high caliber, and that is the Dreadnought medal, so I guess that's nice. We're going to finish top of the leaderboard too on the losing team with 151,000 damage done and 1,993 XP. 1993, the year I was born. Very interesting. Now you know how old I am. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.